Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the Daredevil Born Again Season 2 review series. And today I'm going to be talking about episode 2, Shoot the Moon, which I have just finished watching. And this episode, for the most part, was actually really good. There were a few moments in the middle that were a little bit slow, but in the last half leading up to the end, it really picked up in a big way. But overall, I thought this episode was very good. Maybe not as strong as the first episode, which was the season 2 premiere. I thought that one was a little bit more stronger, but at the same time, this doesn't take anything away from the fact that episode 2 was still very enjoyable, but there were a couple of moments where it just kind of lagged on a little bit and didn't really go anywhere. But as I said, the last half leading up to the end, it was fantastic and it really ended on a high note and really helped set up episode 3 in a big way. But above all else, I thought this was a very good episode, but as I said, maybe not as strong as the first one. So, as always, I'm going to give a little quick recap of what's happened so far, and then after that, we're going to get straight into talking about episode 2. So, as we saw previously in episode 1, we see Daredevil and Karen Page are now working together as allies, and they are more than friends as they attempt to work together to take down the Kingpin once and for all, and also get the truth about his crimes to the public. And we see that the season 2 premiere takes place 6 months after the launch of the Safer Streets initiative, and we saw Daredevil attack the Cypriot container ship called the Northern Star, which has been smuggling weapons to the Red Hook port. And we also see that the ship has been sunk, and Kingpin learns that this was a terrorist attack, and he orders Daredevil to be taken down by any means necessary. We also see Cherry is attacked by the AVTF, who torture him about the whereabouts of Kiriko and Savard, and he tells them nothing. And then we see Daredevil comes to the rescue and fights off the AVTF, but he gets distracted when he realizes that Cherry is having a heart attack as the AVTF take him down and unmask him, and they learn that Daredevil is really Matt Murdock. And as we see the AVTF are about to kill him, we see someone takes down all of the officers with a knife and kills all of them. And the knife lands on the floor with a sign saying, "You're welcome," written on it, along with a bullseye symbol etched in the center, which leaves Matt Murdock looking very confused and concerned about who just saved him. And that's how we ended episode 1. So it looks like, from the way episode 1 ended, it looks like Bullseye is back on the scene, and it looks like Point Dexter has become a form of a unlikely ally for Daredevil, but we never actually saw him. So that left the question at the end of episode 1, why is Point Dexter back? And the bigger question is, why did he help Daredevil after all of the horrible things that he put him through back in season 3 of Daredevil when he impersonated him and tried to frame him under the orders of Wilson Fisk. So, with that all said, let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight into it. Let's talk about episode 2, Shoot the Moon. So, following his encounter with the anti vigilante task force, we see Cherry is hospitalized in critical condition as Daredevil watches over his friend being taken away by the paramedics as he holds the knife and contemplates about his savior. Meanwhile, we see Poindexter comes to Clinton Church and asks for Maggie Grace as he's in need of absolution for what he has done, and we see Buck Cashman updates Wilson Fisk on what has transpired, including Daredevil getting away and Bullseye being involved. Taking in the news, Fisk cannot contain his rage and takes it out on his boxing trainer, who kept needling him. Back at Josie's bar, we see Murdoch and Karen Page discuss what happened and why Bullseye got involved, and why he didn't kill Daredevil when he had the chance. Murdoch suggests that Bullseye killing the AVTF officers benefits Fisk as he can pin their deaths on Daredevil, but it also frustrates Fisk as well, knowing that both of which are in Bullseye's favour. Regardless of Bullseye not wanting to kill Murdoch at the moment, Page still hates him for killing Foggy Nelson, as they focused their energy on the goal of taking down Kingpin once and for which they need to get to Christopher Sevier. However, before they can get to Again Gardens, Ariana gets captured by the AVTF. Cashman suggests Fisk that their current situation would be more manageable if they were to out Daredevil as Matt Murdock, but Fisk refuses. He claims that Daredevil is an easy sell as a public enemy, but Matt Murdock is a different case, with him being a blind man who publicly saved Fisk's life. That gives Fisk another idea, so he addresses the people of New York City and asks them to help with finding Matt Murdock, who has been missing. He describes him as a hero who needs to be brought back home. With Murdoch now being a suspect of a missing persons search, he and Page are forced to stay out of the streets. Sheila Riviera and Daniel Blake examine the City Without Fear videos that satirize and mock Fisk, with Blake being hesitant to talk to Fisk himself about them. Riviera brings up the Northern Star footage with Daredevil being featured in the video, and Blake confirms that only people in Fisk's circle had access to it, meaning that someone leaked the footage. She advises Blake to not keep any secrets from Fisk while he assures her that everything is under control before immediately deleting the footage off his laptop, now fearing that the leak came from him. We see Connor Powell reports to Fisk that the AVTF tripled his personnel security and warns Fisk to remain cautious with Bullseye on the move. He vows to Fisk to take out both Bullseye and Daredevil, which Fisk appreciates, and orders Powell to handle the situation with Cherry as well. Outside of Fisk's office, Powell gets approached by Cole North, who has recovered after his last encounter with Daredevil, and asks Powell to get him back into the AVTF. Powell briefly hesitates, but North needs to avenge their comrade's loss to vigilantes, so Powell welcomes him back. With Cherry as their target, two AVTF officers arrive at Metro General Hospital, but find him being watched over by Angie Kim and Cherry's friend from the NYPD. The officers are forced to retreat as they are unable to get to Cherry, but on their way out they are both killed by Bullseye, who has infiltrated the hospital. By the time Powell gets there, he finds Cherry's room is empty and the officers dead, as he reports to Fisk that Bullseye or the vigilante resistance are most likely to be involved in the attack. Fisk turns to Blake, talking to him about the cover-up of Phil Gallo's death before shifting his attention to the City Without Fear campaign. Blake apologizes for not telling him sooner, to which Fisk reminds him of his past promise that Blake's next portrayal would be the last thing he ever does. Blake swears that he remains loyal to Fisk and he will find the source of the leak as soon as possible. Fisk asks Blake if he has any idea where the leak came from. Blake denies this and asks if he knows anyone else who he might be protecting. Blake replies that the only one he wants to protect is Fisk himself, which Fisk acknowledges as a good answer. Oh boy, things are really heating up now. Cashman handles Vanessa Fisk's security, pointing out to her that she does not need a gun for self defense, considering all of the security detail he and the AVTF are providing. Vanessa thinks otherwise, as she has enough experience with Bullseye to know how dangerous he is, so she keeps the gun. And for those of you who are probably wondering why, back in the original series of Daredevil in season 3, Poindexter made it a point, no pun intended, to go after Bullseye to get to Wilson Fisk. So just to get everyone up to speed for those who are wondering why Vanessa would be concerned about Bullseye. We then see Murdoch and Page sneak to the Red Hook port, watching the crew salvaging the Northern Star cargo, and notice that the crates contain nothing but diapers. They realise that Fisk is creating a misdirection for the Union workers, and the press also witness the unloading, so they decide to take a peek when Fisk thinks no one is watching. At night, they witness the AVTF handling the offloading of the weapons from the ship, and Murdoch decides to get inside before Fisk can make it go away. Page protests as going in would be suicide, but Murdoch says they have no choice, they need to do this now. As Fisk prepares for the dinner at Gracie Mansion, Vanessa asks him why is he taking so much risk in regards of the Northern Star situation, considering the empire they have built together. Fisk acknowledges that they have built something generational, but also feels obligated to expand and leave a global impact. As Vanessa asks how many more worlds does he want to conquer, Fisk replies by asking, well, how many worlds are there exactly? Interesting. We then see Angela Del Toro and Soledad Alia talk about Murdoch's disappearance, and Alia wonders if things would go differently if Hector would never have put on the white tiger suit. Del Toro claims that they need heroes, even if being one is dangerous, as she herself would be dead if not for a hero saving her. The two go to local bodega and notice some of Del Toro's friends trying to shoplift, causing Berto to pull his shotgun at them. Oh my god. As Alia tries to defuse the situation, the AVTF intervenes and takes Berto into custody for taking the law into his own hands. Alia tries to stop them from getting their hands on the kids, but she herself gets arrested for obstruction, with Del Toro helplessly watching. We then see Vanessa and Heather Glenn host a charity dinner at Gracie Mansion, talking about the latter's breakup with Murdoch, and Glenn mentioning their relationship getting rocky before Murdoch was shot. Vanessa says that Murdoch and her husband always had different viewpoints on vigilantes and talks to Glenn about her role in Wilson's anti-vigilante platform. Vanessa then starts to feel uneasy, which Glenn recognizes as anxiety in the face of danger, as Bullseye is watching her from afar. Kristen McDuffie walks late at night as Del Toro shows up at Murdoch and McDuffie's law office and tells McDuffie that her aunt has been taken away by the AVTF. McDuffie tries to comfort Del Toro, promising to try and do something, although getting to the AVTF prisoners is only going to get more difficult. Del Toro asks McDuffie to show her Hector's amulet of power that was kept away by the firm after his death, as Soledad did not want to keep it. We then see Blake invites BB Urich to his place for dinner and brings up the City Without Fear videos to her, to which Urich says that she does not know what he is talking about. And Blake tells Urich that if she was the one behind the leak, and that he warns her that she needs to stop, as both of them could end up getting hurt if things go south. Urich asks if Blake is scared of Fisk, suggesting that he might really be the one behind what happened to Galo or her uncle. But Blake says that he's enjoying his new life and that integrity can cost. Meanwhile, Riviera sees the file on the Gallows cover up and it disturbs her, considering her own role in Gallows' death, as Fisk tells her that she did the right thing. We see Murdoch and Page drink with Josie as they reminisce about the old times before Murdoch hears someone approaching the bar. He and Page hide while Josie answers the door to see who it is, worried that it might be the AVTF. However, it turns out to be Kim and her colleagues who tell Josie, while Murdoch and Page listen, that Cherry is safe. Another City Without Fear gets recorded, satirizing Fisk and calling out the brutality on the streets perpetrated by the AVTF on his orders. Upon finishing the recording, Urich stops the camera and takes off her mask, as she is the one revealed to be behind all of these leaks, as she is determined to keep going in spite of Blake's warning. Vanessa has a nightmare in which she is killed by Point Dexter, as she wakes up in fear as Wilson comforts her. Still shaken, Vanessa talks to Wilson that she wishes they could find happiness somewhere else one day, although Wilson is sure that New York is their home. Wilson says that he would be fine anywhere as long as they are together, wondering if they could really thrive without New York, to which Vanessa says that she has to believe that. As they lay in bed, Paige tells Murdoch that she cannot find any reliable intel on the Red Hook port and is worried if Murdoch goes out there he may not come back. They decide not to think about it for now and loosen up and dance to some of Murdoch's old records. But then the bar gets surrounded by the AVTF, realizing that their hideout has been compromised. Matt suits up as Daredevil and confronts the AVTF, saving Josie from being captured, while Paige takes down an officer coming after her. And with the AVTF officers defeated, Daredevil regroups with Paige, who takes him to Knickerbocker Village and shows him the AVTF officer that she has managed to capture. And that wraps up episode 2, Shoot the Moon, and my review. Overall, I thought this was a very good episode. Round about the middle, it did kind of lag on a little bit, and I felt that there were some parts that were a little bit slow. But the second half, leading up to the end, was classic Daredevil. Absolutely loved it. But by and large, this was a very good episode. As I said, maybe not as strong as the first episode, the season 2 premiere, but there was a lot to enjoy. This was a very watchable episode, but a little bit slow in some parts. But overall, this was very good. I really enjoyed it, and it was great to see Daredevil kicking ass as he always does. But the second half was great. The first half was pretty good, but the middle part was a little bit slow. But this wasn't a bad episode. This was still very good, but I liked it, and it got me really pumped for episode 3. And there was some really good stuff that was just classic Daredevil. So that's going to be it from me. I'm going to wrap this up now. What did you think of episode 2? Did you enjoy it? What's your thoughts on Point Dexter possibly being an ally for Daredevil? Are you excited about this? Are you intrigued to see where this will go? And also, how do you feel about Daredevil and Karen Page working together and taking down the Kingpin? Are you interested to see where this goes? And also, how do you think BB Urich will be exposed? Do you think Wilson Fisk will find out that she is the one who's been posting the leaks and impersonating him? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Daredevil Born Again Season 2 review series, where I am going to be talking about episode 3, which I'm very much looking forward to seeing, especially with the way the last half of this episode played out. Should be a lot of fun. So until next time, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, as always, much appreciated. Thanks for listening.